Police said today there's misinformation out there about their killing of a homeowner this week, and they promised answers publicly tomorrow. Today we know the intruder in Aurora who set off the series of events that led to the shooting death of a grandfather and decorated veteran. That intruder is a known gang member with a lengthy criminal record. Our investigative team has confirmed that John Harper was killed by the grandfather, who an attorney says was just protecting his grandson. The grandfather is a man named Richard Black. Aurora police say they arrived on the scene and shot a man with a gun. It turned out to be the homeowner, Mr. Black. APD Chief Nick Metz released a video statement today saying that he wants to provide facts to the community and that he intends to do that tomorrow. 8 of Colorado's most dangerous abandoned oil and gas wells are listed as being in Adams County. State regulators came out with that list today. 365 abandoned wells and sites that they say need to be plugged or fixed. 79 of them are considered to be high priority, and of those, 8 are in the counties that make up the Denver metro area. All 8 are in Adams County. We're awaiting information from state regulators that could help us pinpoint their locations more precisely for you. 4 in the Brighton area, 3 we know are in the Todd Creek area. The governor is requiring annual reports on the effort to make these sites safer. A court of appeals says President Trump cannot withhold funding from sanctuary cities like Denver. Our city had joined a case against 2 counties in California. The administration wants to force municipalities to cooperate with immigration agents. Denver directs city employees not to help them unless absolutely required by law. The court ruled today the president can't claw back money for cities and counties that's already been approved by Congress. We told you the DMV was going to be closed starting today, so don't blame me that a bunch of you showed up this morning. I get it. Life's busy and some details are destined to slip by. Ask Destiny Knitter. She took a break from her busy life to get her tags up to date and found herself in what could be described as the longest DMV line of all time. 3 days if she wanted to wait. She, of course, didn't.
Because I actually had a client that canceled today, this morning, so I was like, oh, perfect. My name's Destiny, and I'm a hairstylist full-time. I came here to renew my plates, and I can't do it because it's closed for 3 days. I'm past my grace period.
She did tell me that her grandfather let her know about the closures, but she was a little confused about the dates. My name's Haley McKeon. I'm the Communications and Public Information Manager for the Arapahoe County Clerk and Recorder's Office. Good morning. Good morning. We were expecting that some citizens might not have heard that our closures were happening. We put out the word in every possible way. It's been online, on Nextdoor posts, on social media, lots of signage. There are a number of solutions for those citizens if they need to renew their license plates. They can still go online or use the renewal kiosk directly inside, and Arapahoe County has waived the fee for the kiosk during this period. This is a really significant milestone for Colorado as we move from a 35-year-old computer system into the new era of a new computer system that will be more efficient, more integrated, and more streamlined.
DMV offices will be back open Monday. My guess is that's going to be a busy day. Governor Hickenlooper's been vacationing in New Hampshire, where they have a beautiful view of the Democratic presidential primary. The Hick for President coverage here tends to fall into one of 2 camps. People either fawning over the idea of a presidential contender from Colorado or just dismissing him out of hand because he's from here. If only our Marshall Zelinger could find someone with a more national perspective, like, say, Meet the Press moderator Chuck Todd.
I think anybody whose first name is Governor, that has won multiple terms in a state that isn't dark blue, is being looked at as a potential presidential candidate. Look, there's a case to be made that if your first name is Senator, you're not going to be what the voters want. They might want somebody of non-Washington. When your first name's Governor, you automatically come in with a non-Washington resume with the average voter. So do I think Hickenlooper, I don't know if he has the financial base to pull this off. There's a lot of question marks, although he always points out that he was raised in Iowa, I guess. You know, he's got a little Iowa ties. But I wouldn't write him off. You're going to have 20 odd people running for the Democratic nomination. Why not?
If I mention the Republican Governors Association, where are they spending their money campaigning for this election?
Well, look, Colorado is actually a state that they view as an opportunity for them, mostly because I think Gerald Polis is a little bit too liberal. Their nominee this time looks more like Bill Owens, looks more like successful Republican governors than the ones that have lost races in that state. That said, I am struggling to see how the moderate Republican survives in the Trump era in Colorado. It seems that Trump's version of the Republican Party just doesn't play in the sort of suburban Republicans that are remaining in the Denver metro area.
Our next question came from a couple of you, Michael and Rue and Lee and Thomas, asking, Why is the cost for a presidential portrait at the Capitol $10,000? This is about the fundraising to add President Trump to the gallery in Denver. Apparently, $10,000 for a commissioned piece of art is not that unusual. At least that is what I heard today from Jason. He runs the cultural group that collects donations for the portrait. He also mentioned that they want to keep using the same artist who painted Presidents Obama and Bush. I mean, could you imagine if they went with some cheaper artist and put up this janky-looking portrait of President Trump next to a presentable one of Obama? I mean, there are riots in the streets. Anyway, they are very close to hitting this $10,000 mark. There are $1,000 in donations that came into the cultural group, and then Senate President Kevin Grantham, a Republican, started a GoFundMe, and when I checked just before the show, they had raised $8,500. Somebody could finish them off. There's a link on the next Facebook page. Denver avoided disaster on this day 34 years ago. A truck carrying 6 Navy torpedoes overturned at the intersection of I-25 and I-70, the old mousetrap. She dug back into the 9 News archives to see how our old friend Rick Zelinger covered it that day.
Papers on board the truck showed it was en route from Keyport, Washington to the submarine base at Groton, Connecticut. There were numbers to call in case of an emergency, but no one answered. Daylight brought a clearer view of the situation, but it was unknown how dangerous it would be to try and move the torpedoes. And so all they could do was wait for the teams from Fort Carson to arrive to determine just how serious the situation really was. Meantime, a 6-square block evacuation took place. A shelter was set up at 44th and Navajo, but only 3 people showed up. Nearly 4 hours after the accident, the Fort Carson 94th Ordnance Detachment arrived to take over. It was determined the danger in removing the torpedoes was minimal. At 11:43 a.m., now nearly 7 hours after the accident, the truck was righted. The torpedoes did not explode. The immediate danger had passed.
People bring their personal mysteries to Next all the time. You know, we appreciate that confidence. Ren sent us a note recently that's too good to pass up. Ren and her husband Scott recently moved from the city to the mountains. Trouble is, they have no idea where they live. I'll let our Steve Steger pick it up from there.
I know what you're doing, bud.
After they spent a year in Cap Hill, Ren and Scott wanted something a little more Colorado. So they packed up their pup, Bandersnatch, and their pig.
This is Montgomery chorizo.
And they moved.
Out to Pine, maybe.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. They aren't quite sure which town or city can claim their little cabin northwest of Highway 285.
So I called Comcast. I had them look it up, and they had no record that this place existed.
They had no idea where they lived.
They had no idea what Pine was. They said Pine Junction. They said Pine, Illinois.
But the landlord says it's Pine, Colorado. The mail in the mailbox said that too. Still, everyone they talked to didn't seem to agree.
Oh, we're moving to Pine. Everyone said Pine Junction.
Even the mail deliverer seemed confused.
The Pine post office is in Pine Junction.
So where do they live?
Well, it can get very convoluted up there.
We found the man with the tools.
It's this map right here.
To answer their question, Mike King is the deputy Jefferson County assessor. He has some personal experience with misleading mailing addresses.
I live in Lakewood. I have a Denver mailing address.
He was able to tell us, despite the address listed by the post office, this little cabin on Parker Avenue is actually located in the town of Pine Junction, not Pine. Pine is actually located way south of their cabin, down Highway 126.
It seems like a silly question, like where do I live?
Yeah.
But apparently it's pretty reasonable.
Now they know.
Well, I'm very glad we could help.
For Next, I'm Steve Steger.
You're thinking, how in the world could this happen? Everybody knows where they live. Actually, the assessor's office told us there are situations like this across Colorado with interesting places and place names. Your best bet, if you really want to know officially for sure, go to your county assessor's office. Guys, I do not want to freak you out, but what if craft beer isn't popular anymore? So I only bring this up because tickets for the Great American Beer Festival did not sell out today. You know, in past years, they have been gone in like an hour. Ed Sealover, beer lover at the Denver Business Journal, says that GABF won't sell out in a day for the first time in 8 years. A GABF spokeswoman told me they're trying not to focus on sellout times this year. So what's the deal? People sick of big beer festivals? Has GABF just gotten too large for its own good? Is there generally less interest in craft beer these days? I don't know the answer. That's why I plan to go again this year, you know, to investigate. Next, a sign that seems to say something quite the opposite of yield. And refugees in Denver who need a job. But first, they need a skill that can earn them some money. It's a sign spotted by a few next viewers at the Home Depot in Glendale, where drivers who are supposed to yield were instead told to yeed. I assume yeed is the sound that everybody in your car makes when you floor it, which would be very dangerous in the Home Depot parking lot. That was tape, apparently. Some prankster's idea of a good time. The manager ripped it off today, so no more yeeting. It's back to yielding. Send us the signs that make you look twice. Email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext.
Where's our summer sunshine on this first day of August? I'm Kathy Sabin, and we are tracking smoke and haze and cloud cover coming in from the southwest and a little upper air disturbance that might bring an isolated shower or thunderstorm tonight and again tomorrow. Our high, cooler than average, we'll take that this time of year, but the ridge is starting to break down a little bit. Winds out of the northwest aloft and in the mid layers of the atmosphere, transporting all of that smoke from the California and western wildfires right into Colorado. While the front range is socked in this afternoon, it's a whole lot worse across southwestern sections of our state. A little moisture feeding off to the west tomorrow, more of it coming in here on Friday. Only isolated storms tonight. If you get rain, good for you. It's probably going to be wind or lightning, then we clear out. Tomorrow, more sunshine, a warmer day, but Friday I made some changes. Added a better chance of showers from storms at the end of the week after a warm day tomorrow. Tomorrow's high 92, stray shower, storm in the foothills, and then a good chance of rain from storms Friday before we see a dry weekend. Isolated storms Monday, and then back to the 90s for the first part of next week. But the smoke and haze clearly visible even in some of the high mountain valleys tonight, Kyle.
Thank you, Kathy. Colorado is a beacon for refugees from across the world. It has been for decades, and long before the recent talk about turning away refugees from some countries. For those refugees to come here and to be sewn into our community, one crucial step is finding a job. We get a look inside a refugee job training program in Denver tonight through the lens of our Brian Wendland.
Learning a new skill is hard enough. And refugees like the women in this beginner sewing class have to learn a lot.
They are so resilient and intrepid and, thrilled to be able to give back to the community as soon as they're able.
Hannah McMillan is the program lead for We Made This, a sewing training and entrepreneurship program for refugees.
It's primarily women so that they're able to let their hair down, metaphorically speaking.
The women learn to sew handbags, totes, and other products that We Made This sells online and at farmers markets. It's the first taste of employment for most of these women.
Yes. Yeah, it's hard.
Tin Tin Pyon took these classes after leaving Burma a decade ago.
When we first came in United States, so hard.
Now she's teaching the classes.
They help me a lot. I'm so happy.
The goal, I think, of the program as a whole is to be sure that we are really giving every refugee who comes and makes a new life in America the skill set that they need.
When the classes are up, the women get their own sewing machines to take home.
We have contracts with employers around the city, or we also have our own product line that they're able to produce for us, and that will give them a supplemental living wage.
Aside from the money, they also leave the program with a new community to lean on during their transition to life in America. For Next, I'm Brian Wendland.
We Made This also offers English classes, art therapy classes, citizenship training as well. Your next ski lift ride at Loveland might be with a legend of Colorado skiing. That's next. The new high-speed quad lift that's being built at Loveland is Chet's Dream. That is its new name, and it is quite literally the continuation of Chet's dream. Chet was Chester Upham Jr., a partner in the original Loveland Ski Tow Company in 1956. Chet convinced them to install Loveland's very first chairlift, Lift 1. In 1972, Chet bought out the other partners. From then on, his family owned and operated Loveland Ski Area. Chet passed away in January of 2008. His name was picked from 3,000 ideas for the name for the new lift there. Today we talked with Peter Werlin, son of Otto Werlin, who was Loveland's general manager for years and years, and Peter remembers Chet well.
And I just remember he was and his wife Virginia, they are people who love skiing. A very serious and excellent businessman, incredibly hard worker. But as a little boy, I just remember his sense of humor. One time at Flushing, which was a 2-week-long giant party in Georgetown, he and Virginia dressed as a chairlift, and they had built little chairs that hung between the two of them. That's another thing that's kind of funny, to now have a lift named after him.
Loveland ski area and the new lift, Jetstream, should open in mid to late October. The most Colorado thing we saw today is this state itself. It, of course, is Colorado's birthday, Colorado Day. And listen, she's tough to buy for because she's got everything. If you were to give Colorado the shirt off your back, there's a decent chance it would already have a Colorado flag on it. The flag is public domain, so there's lots of people making a buck printing the image of our state. Last Colorado Day, we told you about the guy who owns the trademark for 1876. That's Colorado's birth year. He does have the rights to that. Well, nowadays, he's trademarked the phrase, "This is my Colorado." He's kind of poking fun at our insatiable appetite for all things labeled with our love of the state. So picture, "This is my Colorado shirt," or "This is my Colorado sticker," and so on.
You can finally say it. This is my Colorado shirt. I've got it, and I've done my civic duty as a Coloradan. I own my Colorado gear. It's done. It's taken care of. So that's sort of the plan.
Nick Baumgart started his 1876 brand 5 years ago, and he tells us every person who's worked for the company since is a Colorado native. Baumgart says that's not by design, it just kind of happened. Your birthday wishes for our beautiful state, as well as your feedback, next. We wrap up tonight with your birthday wishes for Colorado on her 142nd birthday.
Colorado's home. It's the state with 300 days of sunshine, but it's also, I think, my favorite state because of the people.
You have the mountains. It's just so gorgeous here. I love the weather. We get all 4 seasons.
My favorite part about Colorado would have to be the arts, especially the Santa Fe Street and the Rhino District, and all the cool street art around here.
You got the mountains, you got, there's the weather, everything's nice about Colorado. I went to California for a couple of years, but I came back to Denver, Colorado, because this is my home.
Colorado to me means home. It's where I grew up.
Estoy trabajando en un lugar de comida mexicana. Hay muchas formas de traer la cultura, pero la comida es la principal.
I love Colorado.
And I'm just really happy that I can be living here as a Chinese.
Happy birthday, Colorado.
Happy birthday, Colorado.
Janandem Mubarak ho, Colorado.
Joyeux anniversaire, Colorado.
Chúc mừng sinh nhật Colorado.
Feliz cumpleaños, Colorado.
สุขสันต์วันเกิด Colorado ค่ะ สุขสันต์วันเกิด Colorado.
Feliz cumpleaños, Colorado.
生日快乐 Colorado.
That is in my mother tongue.
This will always be home no matter where I go in the world.
That's beautiful, however you say it. Your feedback tonight. Ron says, like your show and like the lack of political bias so prevalent in the news. The local stories are great. Well, yeah, Ron, local news should be local. If we're showing you some tomato-throwing festival in Estonia, we're just wasting your time. The McIlvains say, GABF, the beer festival's way too crowded. Long lines for teeny little pours, only to wait in more long lines. Oh, you guys are doing it wrong. Skip the long lines. Go to the shorter lines. Meet somebody you've never heard of before. And Wynn says, are we getting a bit paunchy? The button on your coat seems a bit strained. Dad bod, I don't know. See you next time.